Happy New Year! Or, depending on when you're watching this, Happy New Year! You see, I figured for New Year, right? We're heading into a new year. We need some kind of fun video which is going to wrap up the year. But I already did my Pokemon TCG Awards. I like doing that on Christmas Day. That's my Christmas Day video now. Probably will be from now until the day I stop. Which is going to be very similar to the day I'm literally, physically no longer able to make videos. So I need something new for New Year's, and I want, you know what? I'm going to have a look at the most valuable, the most expensive cards released this year in English. Not including staff cards. I'm leaving out staff cards, that gets too awkward. Now, it turns out the lovely folks at TCG Player did actually publish a list, which was awesome, and I enjoyed seeing and was very helpful. But I also think there were a couple of things there that should have been on that weren't, and that knocks a couple cards that are very good off of the list. So one card that doesn't make the list at roughly $55 is the illustration rare of Magikarp. This is a one from Paldea Evolved, and I still don't really understand this, other than to say everybody thinks this is brilliant artwork, everyone agrees it's stunning, and everybody wants it, so that pushes the price up. There's no real reason for this Magikarp to be so high. It's no rarer than any other illustration rare. It's no more playable than any other illustration rare. It's just beautiful. Shinji Kanda absolutely knocked it out the park. And that's your explanation. It is as simple as that. And to be fair, I'm not generally a huge fan of Shinji Kanda. I adore this card. And yes, I have it in English and Japanese. No, I have no interest in trading it. I love the art on this card. The other one that just falls off at $60 is the Pokemon Center promo Squirtle. Now, this is one we talked about before. A couple of weeks ago, this actually would have made it onto the list. But it no longer makes its way onto the list because, well, they got sent out again, as I showed you the other day, and that has actually brought the price down quite nicely. Remember, this was given away for when you bought pre-orders of the Mew Ultra Premium Collection only on the Pokemon Center, although, like I say, the other day they did actually put it back up where you bought the Mew Ultra Premium Collection on the Pokemon Center, but that's why it ended up pretty rare. So if they don't make the list, what does? In at number 10 at $65, Prize Pack Radiant Greninja. This is coming in at about $65, and this is the one which I'm confused as to why it was missing from TCG Player's list. There is a Radiant Pokemon from the Prize Pack on their list. This was from Prize Pack 3, which came out this year. And to be clear, I love TCG Player. You know I use their information in my videos quite a bit. I think it's a fantastic website with... I mean, I don't buy from it because I'm based in Europe, not in the US. But certainly for information gathering, it's a phenomenal website. I'm a huge fan of TCG Player. But I do think this should have been on the list at number 10. And the reasoning here is really quite simple. It's a super playable Radiant Pokemon. Now, Greninja as a whole is actually quite a popular Pokemon. It's a first partner Pokemon, you know, Ash had one, etc. But really, this is super playable. Concealed Cards is great for drawing cards. You've then got your attack, which can take out 2 bench Pokemon. Sees a bunch of play in a bunch of decks. Probably, well, no, not probably. It is the most played Radiant Pokemon. And it's a popular Pokemon. And it's a special version you can only get from Series 3 prize packs. And that's your explanation here, honestly. That is your explanation. But like I say, I do think this should have been on the list all along. Coming in at number 9, we got the Gold Giratina, coming in at about $70. This is the one that came around in Crown Zenith. Not all of these cards can be pulled from regular packs, but this one absolutely can. And here, it's just beautiful. Now, to be fair, Giratina is very playable. It's done very well in tournaments. Well, all year, actually. It's been legal all year. It's been doing well all year. And it's one of 4 gold legendaries from Gen 4 that Akira Igawa did for the Crown Zenith expansion. Well, for us, Crown Zenith, anyway. And it's just the coolest among them. Arceus is popular. Arceus is playable. Arceus is beautiful. It's not as playable as Giratina. It's not as popular as Giratina. And I don't think the artwork is... No, it might actually be better. I mean, I'm going to call them a tie. But the point is, Giratina comes on the list, and none of the other ones do. In at number 8, we've got the special illustration rare of Roaring Moon. I'm putting this one at about $80. And again, what we've got here is popular Pokemon, playable card, stunning artwork, low pull rates. Whack them all together, absolutely gets on the list. Iron Valiant is similarly awesome. It does not make the list. It's not as good artwork. It's not as cool Pokemon. And it's not as good. Now, in terms of playability, Iron Valiant is great, don't get me wrong. But go and look at recent tournament results. Roaring Moon is generally outperforming it quite clearly. In at number 7, we've got the special illustration rare of Iono, and this is an interesting one to me. I'm putting it at $85, and this one was for a while a bit higher, and yeah, it's not even the most expensive card you can pull from a pack this year, and it's got everything going for it. It's Iono, who's really popular. It's a card that's a staple in almost every single Pokemon deck out there. Makes both players shuffle their hands, put them on the bottom of the deck, and draw cards equal to their remaining prizes. It's phenomenal. It's got great artwork, and it's got a low pull rate. But the fact of the matter is, the pull rates in recent sets have been really good, and this just hasn't gotten any higher up than 85. Now, in at number 6, it's a bit of a weird one. It's the Umbreon EB Games promo. Now, there were a bunch of this Umbreon promo that were released this year. Some actually had the Obsidian Flames logo on, but this one came from EB Games, and the reason why this has ended up being the most expensive is because it's the one that's hardest to find. Like, the one that originally came around from Switzerland with the Obsidian Flames logo has started popping up in other places, and this has been pushing the price down. Whereas the EB Games stamp, and I'm calling it, it's not as good a stamp, it is actually still out there as a card which a lot of people want. And it really is as simple as that. There's fewer of them out there, and that's your answer. I wish I could give you more, ladies and gentlemen, but that is the best I can do for you. It's rocking about $90 right now, and I don't think that many more of these are going to end up appearing. So I think that's kind of your answer, honestly. This one it's here to stay. Now, coming in at number 5, another kind of weird one, the Charizard from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic. I know, bit of a weird one. Of course, as a whole, this is like it costs $400. If you are in the US, it was $400. If you're in the UK, it's £400. And to be fair, I have shown you lately that the TCG Classic as a product has been dropping in price. Quite nicely dropping in price, frankly. And that's lovely. You can pick it up for $300 in most places. But a lot of people just want the Charizard. And you don't want to spend $300-400 just for the Charizard. So this is actually coming in at $110 by itself. Maybe that's an argument to buy the TCG Classic. And this is the Charizard part of the video, because in at number 4, we got the special illustration rare Charizard from 151 coming in at $115. It's a fantastic art Charizard. It's a special illustration rare with a low pull rate. There's your explanation. Because it is not the best Charizard EX released this year, as weird as that might sound. Because we got the Charizard EX and Obsidian Flames, which did have an amazing alternate art by Akira Igawa, which is a way better card, and that's not a question at this stage. Go and look at tournament results. You might find the odd list where 151 Charizard is kind of popped in as a tech, but it's all about Obsidian Flames Charizard. That's a good one. So how come Obsidian Flames Charizard doesn't make the list and this one does? Might be artwork. I'm rather suspecting it's actually more of a pull rate thing. Because you know what? There weren't many special illustration rares in Obsidian Flames. And that meant that the pull rates of the ones we had were, well, frankly, higher. It was just easier to pull than a lot of other cards. And I honestly think that's a large part of the explanation here. It's just an easier card to get. And that's where we are. Cool. And then in at number 3, the last Charizard on the list, it is the Radiant Charizard from the prize pack at $130. I showed you earlier in the video that Greninja made the list. Obviously, Charizard gets in higher. And to be fair, Radiant Charizard is extremely playable and still sees a bunch of play. It can hit 250 for as low as 1 energy if your opponent's taken 4 prizes. It's a great card. I don't think anyone's arguing it's a better card than Greninja. At least I really don't think they should be. It's not, incidentally. It's not as good a card as Greninja. But the point here is, it's a Charizard. And that just means that more people want it. And it kind of is as simple as that. It's coming in at $130, which is exactly double Radiant Greninja, because people just like it more. And it really is as simple as that. Now, no more Charizard. Coming in at number 2, we got Van Gogh Pikachu, which is coming in at about $145. And this was... It wasn't perfect. Let's put it that way. It was given away at the Van Gogh Museum when you went to see the Pokémon exhibit, which was amazing. But people couldn't behave, so they stopped giving it out at the Van Gogh Museum. It was briefly given out on the Pokémon Center. It happened twice. But the first time, it was findable by bots before it was findable by people, and it sold out instantly, which wasn't great. And the second time went much better, but it still sold out super quickly. And it is actually going to be given out in some Dutch stores in the new year. But this one is basically gone. And the problem is, it's a really cool promo. It is Pikachu with grey felt hat, made in the style of Van Gogh by Kimura, to look like Van Gogh, or self-portrait with grey felt hat. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's one of the coolest cards Pokemon have done. It was hard to get hold of, and that explains it. So what's in at number 1? Same thing that's in at number 1 every year. The World's promo, Paradise Resort. Now, I will say, TCG Player didn't put this on their list. They were quite clear that they were only including cards that had at least 3 verified sales, and this doesn't on TCG Player, so I understand why they didn't put it on the list. This has to be on my list. Have to do it. Because the fact of the matter is, this is the most valuable card that was released this year. Now, trying to pin down a value is extremely awkward for this, but the English version of this is about a $400 card. Some are selling for a bit more, some are selling for a bit less. It's all over the place, right? The staff are selling for a bit more again. The last sold was $450, but there was a recent sold for $360. So, let's say $400, all right? I will say non-English languages and non-Japanese. Non-English, non-Japanese, actually quite cheap. You can pick up a Portuguese version on eBay right now for $40. Buy it now, free shipping, $40 for the Portuguese version. So if you don't mind the language, lovely. But English and Japanese are significantly more expensive, I think it's fair to say. But the fact of the matter is, of all the cards that were released this year, not including staff, I'm not going there, this is the most expensive card. And it is by quite a bit. And look, I'm not including staff cards, but I am including random promos, like Van Gogh Pikachu and this one. I still feel pretty good about my list. I think it's a good list. But I want to know what you think. How many of these cards do you have? How complete is your list? For me, I think I've got half a dozen of the top 12. I'm cheating a little bit. But I want to know how many you've got. I want to know which ones you've got. I want to know which ones you're trying to get. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and of course get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Matt DS, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.